we are going to start with buildings for the urban community, which include skyscrapers and tall buildings. I'm drawing a line on the bottom to represent the ground. Then you start out by drawing a rectangle. Next, I will draw a taller rectangle that is touching the first rectangle. For my third building, I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the first two buildings as I'm drawing my third rectangle. To make the buildings look three-dimensional, draw a diagonal line in the corner, then a line that parallels to the previous line right below it to make the buildings look realistic. For the side of the building that is not touching another building, you can also make it look three-dimensional by drawing a vertical line that parallels the previous line. To create some interest to the top of some buildings, you can simply add more rectangles, starting out with longer ones that keep on getting shorter and shorter, or smaller and smaller, looking kind of like a staircase. You can add the entryway by drawing long, tall rectangles. I usually split them in two to represent the double doors. And then for your windows, get creative. Here I'm just drawing little L's. Other places you can draw squares or rectangles. Depends on whether you want to put window panes in them. And for other door entryways, get creative. Maybe it has an awning or a little umbrella dome over top. Your choice. The top floors of most skyscrapers are called penthouses because they're a little bit fancier, so I usually do something different. In this case, I'm drawing two long lines, and on the side, you also want to make sure your line parallels slightly at an angle similar to the top line of the building. To put more buildings in the background, simply draw your rectangle without drawing through the previous buildings that are in the foreground. Again, to make the top of your buildings look more interesting, you can just add some curves instead of the rectangles this time, making sure they start out large, medium, small. To draw houses for the suburban community, simply draw a rectangle to represent the house, a triangle to represent the roof. I can add a garage to the side of the house using a trapezoid-ish shape for the roof and a rectangle for the garage area, and adding in the garage door. I will draw a thicker line on my roof just so it stands out a little bit. Next, you can start by drawing doors, and depending on how you want your door, you can add a little part on top of your door to make it more interesting. You can use rectangles or circles to represent the windows, and however many windows you might include will show how many floors or levels that house has. You can count how many windows I have, which are 3 on the main house and 1 on the roof, which means I have 4 levels, including the basement and the attic area. Here I'm just adding a little bit of roof tiling to make it look more interesting. To draw townhouses, you can draw squares or rectangles that are attached to each other. Add different shapes for the type of roof that you would like. And again, add in the style of doors and windows you would like for the townhouses and the number of levels based on how many windows you include on the buildings. You can also style each roof differently to make the houses stand out. To create buildings in the rural area, I'm going to start out with a rectangle and then two more rectangles to represent the door or barn entry, a triangle for the roof, another rectangle for the top part of the barn, a rectangle on the side of the house or barn building, and a little semicircle on top to represent the dome that is in a silo. Then I will add the door entry on the bottom, and most of those usually have an X pattern on them. This rural community home, I will start out with a rectangle, add a trapezoid on top for the roof, and I will also add a little side part to this house. You can add your own style of door and windows, but remember, most of the rural community homes typically have one or two floors.